and welcome back to Green Pro. Today we're going over the latest feature within Easy MCS Projects, and that is project templates. We've been working a lot to try and reduce the amount of administration that you project templates is the latest in a line of those features. So I'm just going to show you quickly how it works and what it does. So once you've logged into Easy MCS and you've navigated to projects, there is a little banner up here that sort of says what it is. But if you go to templates in the top right hand corner, you'll come to this screen. Now I have some templates, so you'll see those. But what you want to do is navigate straight to new template, and then you'll see this screen. Now the template setup does look like quite a lot of information, but actually you can get through it pretty quickly, and once you've done it once, you'll be able to reuse the same template for projects going forwards if they have the same kind of information. So for example, if you always use two different manufacturers for your kit, you could have a template for one manufacturer and a template for another, so that all of the relevant information for that manufacturer is pulled in and attached to the project already, and things like that. So I'll just run you through how we do this, and then there'll be some other videos dotted about for in what ways this kind of makes it easier for you and saves you some time. So I'm going to call this template 3, and then it asks, do you use Installer Toolkit? Now, if you do use Installer Toolkit, what this is going to do is make sure that if there is a matching project in Toolkit with Easy MCS, which they usually will be automatically now, that whatever information you put into Toolkit, so when you complete a full proposal, when you complete design calculations, etc., it will know that you've done it, and it will pull it through to the template for you and attach it for you, so you don't have to do any sort of manual drag and drop. If you don't use Toolkit, that's absolutely fine, but you still will have to upload those documents to the project, so you wouldn't be able to sort of set them at template level. So I'm going to say yes, I use Installer Toolkit. Now you might recognize these questions. These are the kinds of questions we ask you at project creation usually. So if you always do domestic installations, obviously you have one type of certification, whether it's REC, whether it's HICE, whether you're now neither under the redeveloped scheme and you just use the MCS customer commitment, you can select that at this level. If you only have one, then you won't be asked that question, but obviously I have several. I'm going to say it's a PV and battery storage job. Yes, I want to add subcontract. Now I've got one subcontractor in my records, in my R09 approved subcontractors list, and it's there ready for me. I'm going to say that I always use them for roofing, and that's why part of this template, because I always use this same subcontractor. If you use different subcontractors for different jobs, you could also have templates for those as well. If you want to add another subcontractor for this particular type of work that you're creating this template for, then you can free type into this box as well, and then select or type an activity. So my surveyor, my commissioning engineer, I'll put in as well. I'll put my own name for the contact, and then I'll put in company contact email, and that's going to pre-populate the covering letter. So the template at this level, you can put all this in, and then the templated covering letters for proposal and handover will get automatically generated as a PDF. You don't need to touch them, you don't need to download them, you don't need to do anything. They'll just be there, generated and attached to your project. So that's the first section. And now we've come to the proposal, and this is asking some questions about what you want to do with your proposal when you send it. So how do you want to do this? You want to choose a proposal pack format first of all. We recommend you do a merge and zip. Basically, whatever PDF is in the proposal, they will merge all the PDFs together into one big document. That includes your contract, your proposal, sort of quotation, performance estimate. If it's done through Toolkit, they come through as PDFs, manufacturer's data sheets, your covering letter, and so on and so forth. If they're all a PDF, they'll get put into one big document. You can also choose zip only, which is just, we don't merge anything together. We just zip all the documents into a file for you, and then you can email that to your customer. Then we have the section which is document handling methods. So if you're familiar with projects, you'll see that every time you create a project, there's a list of documents in each tab, and it's kind of like a checklist for everything that you need to go through. So what we've done is preset what we think are the best options for what to do with these documents. So we've got automatic, which is automatically generate the document when the project is created. So as I explained before, the covering letter is now automatically generated. You can hide it if you don't use it, or you can opt to generate it, so you can, download the Word version if you make changes to the content, for example, but we'll leave it as automatic because we think that is the simplest way to do it. The interactive contract, you can't edit that because the only way to create our interactive contract is to create it through projects. So that one is, you're unable to sort of touch that on a template level. When you get to the project itself, if you use a different contract, for example, then you can just override that and upload something separate. But for the F13I, which is the interactive, we send this for signing version. You can't do anything else other than generate it. Now, because I've said I use Toolkit, it said that my PV battery quotation and my performance estimate are going to generate through Toolkit. Again, you can change that if you like, but we would keep it for Toolkit ease because it's the quickest possible way. I'm going to put my consumer code leaflet and my manufacturer's data sheets. They're going to come from the document bank. You can also change those to upload if you don't want to use the document bank, but obviously as the quickest way, we recommend that you do, and you'll see why in a couple of pages. And then miscellaneous proposal documents. If you ever use these, you can select. I'm going to hide them because I never use it. Now, you can see I can add this from the document bank now. So a little bit slow. But I'm going to add my consumer code leaflet to the consumer code section, and then manufacturer's data sheets. I'm going to add my inverter manufacturer's data sheet and my solar panel manufacturer's data sheet. You can also filter by this. So I've filtered by data sheets, and those are the two I've just added. But they're now added to this. You can also add these on the final screen, so don't worry, you wouldn't skip that step. And then we go next. And this is asking you some questions about the digital contract. So if you use the interactive contract, you can preset some of the questions that you get asked when you're creating it. So yes, I am going to use digital signing. My contract in this way is always going to be on trade premises. I don't use an external waste carrier. My rate for additional work, I'm going to say, is £500 a day, and 0% VAT, and I don't offer credit. And that will then preset some of the contract questions. Things like the total cost of the job, payment schedule, dates of installation, they are obviously very project specific. So we don't set those at template level. But if you always offer contracts in the same way, then you can preset some of those at this stage. Then we go next, and we're in-house now. In-house are all the documents that you might need, you might not. You don't really share them with the customer. It's more sort of health and safety stuff, survey forms, anything over and above what you would normally give to a customer. And some of these you are able to hide. If you never use our inquiry form, just hide it. Then it'll never show up in the list of documents when you create this project. And then your options, generate and hide. The only other thing you can do is include it elsewhere. So for example, if you use a different software that has a survey section, if you use manufacturer information that has survey information, for example, you can say included elsewhere. And what this will do is it will just highlight to you when you're going through the project, or whoever is going through the project on your behalf, that document doesn't need to be put there because you've included it somewhere else. So you can go through all of these. The ones that we don't allow you to hide are because you need them from a sort of compliance standpoint. So variation of contract form, if you had to do that during a project, then you wouldn't be able to hide it because you would need it. Same with the risk assessment, you've got to do that. Method statements you have to do, particularly under the redevelop scheme. If the technical supervision and the risk of the project is at a certain level, then you have to issue written instructions. So we keep those method statements there, and obviously your DNO information stuff as well. It says that my structural report is going to come from Toolkit. I don't want to upload any project photographs, and then you have delivery notes, material invoices, and anything miscellaneous. I'm going to hide the miscellaneous as well. Then we go through to next. And the last one is handover. So because you give this to a customer, it's asking you the same questions that the proposal did. Are you a merge and zip? Are you a zip only? I'm going to say merge and zip, and my workmanship warranty period is 6 years based on the new requirements of the redeveloped scheme. And then you've got your handover as well. So handover cover letter, automatic again, because we filled in that information at the front. You've got to give a workmanship warranty, and you've got to give some other information as well. Commissioning checklists, if you use ours, select for generate. If you don't use ours and you use manufacturer's ones, for example, you can select included elsewhere, and that can be included in your manufacturer information. So things like solar PV shading and maintenance, that's now automatic because you don't need to write anything on it. So that will generate automatically as a PDF and just be sat in your handover pack ready to be shared. Startup and shutdown procedures, you can either include elsewhere. If that's, for example, in your manufacturer information, you can always keep it in the document bank based on the kit that you install, or you can upload it if you like. Manufacturer information, I'm going to say from the document bank. Schematic diagrams come from Toolkit. Design calculations come from Toolkit. I can't hide any of these because I absolutely need them from a compliance perspective. Building control, electrical testing certificates, insurance back guarantee, and MCS certificate. Obviously, we don't provide those for you because you get them externally. So they are set to upload and you cannot hide them, because when the project is used as a compliance checklist, we want to make sure all the stuff you absolutely need is always included. And then I'm going to hide my miscellaneous handover documents. Now I want to add my manufacturer data sheet. So I'm going to add that from there. Don't have startup and shutdown procedures in my document plan currently, so I'm going to say that they are in my manufacturer's information, so I'm going to have them as included elsewhere. And then we go next and we get to the final review. It's got all of my information that I put in, what I want to do with my proposal, what I want to do with my contract and my handover, and then it comes down to your documents. And as you can see here, you can add from the document bank at this stage as well as when you're going through it. So once we get to here, we just want to sense check everything that we've done. Everything looks fine to me, and then we go to submit. And then it will ask you a question. What would you like to do next? Would you like to go back to the templates, so all of them, or would you like to create a new project from the template that you've just created? So I'm going to say create new project, and then we'll show you what that looks like. So I'm going to give the project a reference. So 003, it's pulled through template 3, which means that it's answered all these questions for me. So domestic, it's put my start date in as today's date. It's selected my technologies, it's put my names in, but not my dates, because they are obviously project specific. So I'm just going to chuck a couple of dates in there. It's put through all of these things. This is a new section for technical supervisor, which we'll cover in a different video, because that is all to do with the redeveloped scheme and how you monitor your installations. But all of that information is already there. So now all I have to do is put in my other information. Now, as you can see, the problem is, well, not a problem, but this is flagging to me that I have got a project already for this address now, because we use a lot of test addresses. It's showing this to me, something that I can check and make sure, do I want to create this project or does it already exist? So I can view the project from here, but I'm just going to continue creating the project. You probably won't have this problem because you're not going to be doing multiple projects under the same address, but obviously we do a lot of test projects, so that's why this is flagging. But it's just a little quality control to say, are you sure? And I'm going to say, yes, continue creating the project. So that's now created. It's obviously in progress. I can open it directly in Toolkit because it will have created one in Toolkit for me. Here's my proposal. So covering letter is done. It's already completed. It's in there as a PDF ready to be zipped. It's telling me to complete these in Toolkit. If I open this in Toolkit now and go through that process, those documents will automatically get pulled in, and that's demonstrated in another video on our YouTube channel, so do check that out. I can generate my contract from here, and some of my things that I've selected at template level are already answered for me. It's put in my subcontractor, who they are, what they do, my rate for original works. Obviously, again, the only thing that hasn't been filled in is the value of the contract, because that's very project specific, and estimated installation start and end dates, and a payment schedule. So I could go through and add all that as well. My consumer code leaflet has pulled through from my template, as have my manufacturer's data sheets. If we go straight through to in-house, you'll see I hid the inquiry form. It's no longer there, so doesn't form part of my checklist. I said this was included elsewhere. You can override this and upload if you want to, but at template level, you've said that you include this elsewhere, so that's what the project has done for you. And then obviously I hid the miscellaneous, so it's got rid of that, and I hid the project photograph, so that is also not there. We get over to handover. My handover cover letter is generating because it's automatic. And as you can see, it says 14 missing documents. And we have decided what you need from a compliance perspective in terms of what to give to a customer in a handover pack. So if it's not there yet, then it's going to say these things are missing. So your installation checklist missing, so we need to make sure that we upload that and mark it as complete. So if I mark some of these as complete, that number will eventually go down. So it's saying battery testing, upload this document. So you will generate it. It's going to generate F74. That's going to download for me. I can then fill it in and then attach it back here and then mark that as complete, and it's done. Same with all of the other ones that we provide for you. Shading and maintenance was automatically generated, so that has been marked as complete and it's sitting in there. Same as the manufacturer information, because I added that in my template to come from my document bank. I've specified that my startup and shutdown procedures are included elsewhere. Once I complete the schematic diagram in Toolkit, it's going to pull through to here, and then I would obviously upload all of my information that we don't provide you. So things like your invoice, your building control notifications, your electrical certificates, etc. You can attach them to here. So you can use this section to upload it, or you can still use this old button that is still there. Design calculations is telling me to complete this in Toolkit. And then I've hidden my miscellaneous as well. So once you've checked off all of these orange ones, it's going to say, you've got no missing documents left, and then you can build the handover pack. So it's just, I say quick, it probably wasn't a very quick overview of templates, but this is what templates does. So it allows you to have a little bit more control in terms of, if you always do the same kind of things on a project, if you always use the same manufacturer, if you always use the same subcontractors, if you always hide the certain or ignore the certain documents that we provide you, that aren't necessarily relevant to compliance, so things like the inquiry form, all those different kinds of things, then you can hide them and not have to deal with them every time you upload a project, particularly if you've got multiple staff working on projects who might not know that you tend to ignore certain documents because you don't need them. You can set those at a template level. And then, also works if you're doing PV only jobs, PV and battery jobs. If you do PV, battery and heat pumps, but you want a heat pump one versus a PV one, and it saves you from, having to repeat the same kind of information all the time. Templates allows you to sort of set some master details so that every time you're doing a project that aligns with that template, you can do it, and it saves you some time, and it's pre-populated quite a bit of stuff with you. Also, the big time saver for that is if as well. So we'll do another video on that in terms of showing you how those documents get. But if you have any questions or any feedback, then obviously do let us know. We'd be delighted to talk to you about it. Thank you very much for watching.